Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning even to our colleagues in Florida still. Welcome to the Place in the Sun Digital Florida Masterclass. This is the final session of today, and we're going to be looking specifically at everything you need to think about once you've bought your property and you own it. And so we're looking at running costs, renting it out, your obligations as an owner, including tax returns and all that type of thing. My name is Richard Way. I'm an international property journalist, and we're very fortunate today to be joined by three experienced and highly respectable operators in the Florida property world. If you've been watching our other sessions, you'll be acquainted with them by now. But for those of you who haven't, I'll let them introduce themselves very quickly, and they'll tell you a bit about who they work for, the services they offer, and then we'll get straight into the nitty-gritty. So let's start with you, Alistair. Hi there.
Good afternoon, everybody, and hi and welcome back to this session. For those of you that we haven't had the chance to meet and see yet, thanks for joining us. My name is Alistair Brown. I am the CEO and owner of Alistair Brown International. We are a UK and US based real estate company looking after Central Florida, East Coast predominantly. We have 28 or 29 years now, as you can probably tell. We've been doing this for a hell of a long time. We have a lot of fun, many years, hundreds and hundreds of families in connections, like everybody else that you're going to meet on this call, which is kind of why we're here. We're happy to look after those of you that think that we can. We'd love to hear from you, and I hope that you get something out of this session today. So that's it.
Thanks very much. And I should have added in my earlier introduction that we do encourage questions throughout these sessions. We've got these three people, so let's really make use of their time. If you've got a question for them about anything to do with owning property, buying property in Florida, please use the Q&A function on the Zoom desktop, and then I'll filter them to the relevant panelist. Also, if you want to revert back to this, we're recording the session, and it will be available to download on the Place in the Sun digital website at a later date, so you can share it with friends and acquaintances if you need to as well. So thank you, Alistair. And John, hi John, with that lovely blue sea behind you.
Yes, we do. My name is John Penny with J.C. Penny Realty. We're based out of Kissimmee, which is central part of Florida, and we have another office on the East Coast over in Melbourne, over on the beach on the East Coast, a little bit farther south from where Alistair's located. But I've been in Florida since 1972. Been here a long time, and I love what I do. We primarily do investment in second homes. We do some commercial. We do some primary residential, just a little bit of everything. But our heart and soul, we love Kissimmee. We love the Disney area. And we love what we do. So it's not really a job, but we're definitely glad you joined us today, and hopefully we'll answer some questions for you.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, John. And finally, Zoe. Hi, Zoe.
Hello. Yes, I'd say hello from sunny Florida, but we've actually got a rogue rainstorm at the moment coming across. So it'd be no good me showing you what we've got out there. Hey, this is true to life, you know, it happens. But yeah, we're based in Orlando and the Disney area. That's where we specialize. My name's Zoe Atwood, and the company is Homes America Realty. We're a family business. We've been doing this now for donkey's years as well, like these guys. And we specialize in the real estate side, so helping people buy and sell a property in Florida. We also do in-house, in-family property management. And we also do in-house, in-family rental side of things. We can assist with mortgages. We can assist with if you want to move over here, if you want to buy a business. We really are a true one-stop shop. We do the whole thing in-house. So again, like everybody said, any questions, you know, there's no such thing as a stupid question. So ask away. We'd be very happy to help you out.
Great. Thank you very much. So welcome to all our panelists. So let's get straight in. John, let's just look at first the sort of usage people have of a property in Florida, because it's not like buying somewhere in Europe where you can easily pop for a weekend well, you can, but it's, you know, your travel time is longer, etc. So people do tend to use their properties differently, and you've got the whole winter sun idea. So drawing on your experience and your clients, what do most of your UK second homeowners do in terms of usage? I mean, can you group them into obvious groups?
You could, and what we normally find is we really have. I'm gonna break it maybe down into three. We have one that is strictly they buy the property because they love it. They fell in love with the property. They want it. No one ever stays in the house. It's strictly for them and their family. They just lock it up and leave it. They don't really care if it made money, but they love being here. They love either whether it's on the ocean or whether it's in Orlando, they just love being here. The second is, I'm going to say probably the bulk, 70-80% of our buyers fall in this middle class, which is they want to buy it, they want to rent it out, they want it to cover its expenses. If it makes a little bit of extra money, that's good, but they just don't want it to be a financial hardship or a burden on them, but they love buying because they've seen the property appreciation, they've seen the growth. Buy a house, 10 years ago was 150,000. Now you're spending 300,000 and maybe even more. But that's probably the bulk. And then we've got some that are true investors. We've got owners that have never ever seen their properties. They literally buy them, price them with property managers, rent them out, and it just collects income. Every 5 to 7 years, they sell it and buy another one to replace it. So those are really our three primary categories if I was going to class them in that section.
Perfect, great. Thanks very much. And in terms of actually spending time in Florida, what are the rules, Alistair? Because I know you need visas and you can spend a certain amount of time at a stretch. And could you just outline that for people who want to spend half the year here, or you can manage their expectations? I can't hear you, Alistair, actually.
I bet you can now.
I can now, yeah.
I was keeping the background noise down. So there are some fairly simple ways. So the first one, the easiest button, for about 14 or 15 bucks, you can get the online ESTA, and that really covers the majority of the 1.5 million people that come to Florida every year. It's an online form, no visa required, and allows you up to 90 days. You're there for holidays, you're there for vacation, you're there to do your stuff, nothing else, no more than that. That's what you're there for. Cheap and cheerful, that is the easy button, the ESTA, E-S-T-A. Apply, a week, 10 days before you go at the latest. Just make sure that you get the response and it's done. And there you go. So that's the first one. If you want to get a little bit more into this, and most of the people that Zoe and John and I and the countless others that have helped people find a home, they will get down a little bit further into that. Zoe talked about her business doing a lot of that stuff, and she does it very well, her and her family. The point for that one is if you get yourself up to 180 days, the B1, B2 visa will just give you that little bit more flexibility and a little bit more time once you become the homeowner. It's not often, Richard, we would see somebody applying for that until they are, right? Yeah. Unless you're doing a lot of travel. A lot of people come back and forth, maybe even on their way to cruises and doing some other stuff. But for the most people, 90 days is the easy button. Now, when you go on to the next one, you go on to EB5, you go on to the more business-minded things. Those are highly specialized, and at this stage, we would always bring in one of our immigration partners. Zoe and her family have got that. JP's got that. That is a full service thing, and that is really going to depend on the business, how much you want to invest, how you want to spend the money, how much time you want to be here, what family members can come with you and what can't, right?
So that's more for people relocating.
It really is. You know,
Yeah.
400,000 Brits live in Florida, believe it or not.
Really?
400,000 was the number, at least it was last year. So a few more probably. And like, you know, many of the participants that are coming on this call will be on to that next 100,000, right?
Yeah.
But this is how the journey starts, and this is how it shapes. And you know, certainly for Zoe at some point, her family and I, we've done that, right? We've done that. We've done this journey. So and we're still here, and it's the greatest place in the world to be, and particularly coming up to this time of year. So we're really looking forward to some cooler weather. So to go back to the question, 90 days, $14, $15, ESTA, one for every family member. And then if you want to go a little bit further, the B1, B2. If you want to go through the business side, I would suggest that whoever's interested on the participant, reach out to us, and we'll go through the specifics, because it's just too big to generalize on that one, Richard.
Sure. Thanks, Alistair. And just to clarify, the 90-day ESTA, so that's what, 3 months. You're allowed that once a year, or I mean, how does it work within a calendar year? Can you just?
Well, no, it's valid for a number. I think it's maybe one of the other guys can confirm, but I think it's valid for about 3 or 4 years.
I think that's right.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. So, providing you're coming in and out, and you know you're not trying to mess the system. These guys are smart. You know, if you're trying to be a little bit, you know, kind of whatever, they'll find you. So go down the B1, B2, and just do it, right? If you're going to be like that. And by the way, that's a really simple process. America loves visitors. We're a nation of immigrants, and we love visitors. We want people to come. We desperately do. Forget about politics, because once you live in there, you're going to live your life, right? Just like you do back home. So it's the greatest place in the world to come, and it's very simple to do it.
Great, thanks very much. So anyone who's thinking of a holiday home, you know, you can come out quite easily and spend, you know, 3 months throughout the year, and probably and if you want to rent your property out for the rest of the time, these guys will help you, and that shouldn't be a problem. Yeah. And of course, one of the reasons people do rent out their properties to cover all the running costs, and often to make a bit of money on top of that. So Zoe, let's just look at the running costs. I mean, people will have researched this before they buy their property, but just to be sure, just to recap, what sort of things and costs do people need to be thinking about when they've just bought their home? And let's first of all look at the more traditional, if you like, gated community setup. So yeah, if you just explain that.
Sure, yeah. I think going to that question about gated as opposed to non-gated really doesn't make too much of a difference, in the sense that whatever house that you're going to look at, one of the best tips you can be given is to look at the HOA dues, so the Homeowner Association dues, and that's the amount of money that you will pay sometimes every month, or it might be every quarter or annually, but it's the amount of money that a community asks you to put in to usually maintain the common areas, make sure that the resort or the community is well kept and, you know, well presented. So that's what that's paying for. But a lot of people that we speak to when we come over and do the shows with A Place in the Sun is they say, well, you know, I don't want to go for X community because that's got really high HOA dues. And what we normally say is, well, let's just take that and take it apart and let's have a look at it, because sometimes it may be a higher HOA payment, but the reality is within that HOA payment, ordinarily be paying for anyway. So a good example is the house I'm in today is one on Bella Vida, which is in Kissimmee. The HOA dues on this are $826 per quarter, so about $275 per month. But within that, you have your cable and your internet paid for. So that might usually cost you, say, $140 a month, something like that. You can get cheaper, you can get dearer. But when you put it in context and you think, you know, I'm paying $275 per month, and I'm covering my cable and my internet and all the other recreational facilities, resort facilities, my trash. There can be a whole number of different items that can be included that actually doesn't make it such a big scary number. So that's one of the best tips I think you can be given about running costs. The second best tip that I could give is get with somebody that knows what those actual running costs are. Nobody likes anybody that picks figures from the air and makes them up, or I don't know. You need to know, because before you sign on the dotted line and you make this house yours, you want to make sure that you know exactly what you're signing up to. And all houses and all communities can be different. So really do your research, really put us all to task. You know, they're exactly the right questions you should be asking. Any good company, and these guys will do the same, I'm sure. We have a sheet that's our typical running costs of a house, and I'm happy to share this with anybody afterwards if they, you know, want to get in touch and have it. But the typical running costs will cover things like the real estate taxes, which is like property taxes back in the UK, hazard insurance, which is like our building insurance, homeowner association fees we've spoken about, all the different utilities, just your regular electricity, gas, water, telephone, internet, cable. If you're going to rent the property out, you need to have a rental license. In fact, you have to have two, one from the county, one from the state. They're not very expensive, but just by law, you have to have them in place to be able to rent the property out. You might have a management fee for a company like ours that would look after your house once you bought it. Pool cost, pest control, lawn care. These are all kind of your top headers that will fall in those running costs. And what we would do is take you through and show you those example costs and show you what they would look like in real terms. And obviously, if you are thinking of renting the property out, then the great thing then is that that rental income you're earning is going to pay, if you get the right house, of course, it's going to pay for the outgoings on the property. And that's where we all want to see you at. It is possible. You hear these scare stories and people say, oh, you know, you can't do that. So it is possible to do that, but there is a very definite formula that you have to follow to do.
Yeah, brilliant. Very comprehensive. Thank you very much, Jay. This whole idea about gated communities and homeowners associations, it's normally for most British people, you know, we don't really have that concept over here. So I'm just thinking about more on a day-to-day level of being there and engaging with everything there, and are there rules, are there things you can and can't do? John, just tell us about that whole gated community concept, and what do you think the real benefits are as well?
There actually are quite a few good benefits, and we don't usually think of it because homeowners associations, like you said, are a little newer. I live in one. It's a gated community, guard gated no less. And some people look at that and they feel a little bit more secure, that they like that no one can just drive in. You have to have a license and show a license or do something to get access. From a rental perspective, sometimes a gated community is better, especially if it's guard gated, is they also, your property managers are in charge of the house. But sometimes people will rent a house and they might have a couple extra people than they should have had. So the guard is actually just a second level of security to make sure there's not too many people coming to one single house. The two things that I look at it from a value is, Zoe already hit on one of it, is the homeowners association negotiates up front what we call bundled services. So they're usually taking care of the garden outside, they're taking care of the cable TV, internet, telephone. They'll bundle and package it and get a really good bulk discount. So from an owner who has to pay individual a la carte for your cable, your TV, your internet, you know, someone to come out and mow the grass, someone to take care of the pool, it usually you'll find that the HOAs will negotiate anywhere from $100 to $200 a month better value for the homeowner. And that just goes right to the bottom line. The second thing that we found, that when an HOA is active and the members and the owners are active in it, we find that the values of the homes stay higher or increase. They don't get stagnated. And some people say, well, I don't want someone telling me that I can't paint my house pink polka dots. Well, you might not like it, but it actually does help it keeps some of the tired homes, someone who might defer maintenance on a house. No, you need to go ahead and cut the grass, or no, you do need to, paint the house every 5 to 7 years. It just keeps the value of the community at a higher level. And for people like me, I love buying houses. That's what I do. I love selling houses. I don't want it to be a financial burden, but I do want it to grow in value. And that's what we're finding out. We have people that have bought homes in 2004, 5, 6. They're selling them now. The exchange rate is really good for bringing money back to the UK. And we have people who are making 150 and 180,000 pounds, not dollars, pounds in profit from what they bought to what they sold. And for me, I mean, that's life-changing. That can help set your kids up in their properties, or do whatever, buy another one, cash, no expenses on it. So I like the idea of a gated community. I like the idea of an HOA. It just helps all the way around, in my opinion.
Right. Very quickly, that's a question linked to that just come in from Ruth Big. Does the US impose capital gains tax when a property is sold? Whatever.
They do impose capital gains, and the good thing is we all work with good tax advisors, and a couple that I'm going to think of that right off the top of my head are actually from the UK, who are chartered accountants in the UK, but also certified public accountants here in the US. So they understand UK and US tax law. The benefit, I mean, there's huge benefits of how much that you get to sell and make a profit before they even start taxing. You actually get, I think, up to $40,000 in profit before you even start looking at taxes. And my wife has a funny saying, because she's in our business also, and she's like, taxes are never a good thing, but if you are having to pay taxes, guess what? That means you made a profit, and a profit's a good thing. So the good thing that we do is we have you actually meet with a tax accountant early on, and you say, why do I do it? I'm not looking to sell for 5 or 10 or 15 years. What it does is it also helps you keep track of what bills and what expenses and paperwork and everything else. So whenever you do go to sell, that you've set up the company, maybe you set it up as a limited liability company at the beginning, and maybe you set it up as a family trust, or, I mean, there's all kinds of different ways, but what it does is it helps you have a good exit strategy at the end, and you've ticked all the boxes all the way through. So that's part of our job as well, as helping you set that up right from the beginning. So when it is time to sell, you come out smelling pretty good.
Right, thanks very much. Alistair, if we can turn to you now, and you showcased a particular type of resort, the Grove, in the previous session, and there is a difference between this more modern hotel style condo resort with the boundless amounts of amenities in rental schemes, compared to a more traditional community with maybe a clubhouse, communal pool, a bit more, slightly more residential maybe. Yep. People will often look at the fees, the ongoing costs, and they will be high because of the amenities. But I'm sure you'll agree, and you could explain why you'll get that back through rental. It'll be higher, and it will be high occupancy. So just talk us through that model. Can I just quickly as well refer to a question that we've had from Mel Tubby, because she's mentioned this and she's referred specifically to Bahama Bay.
Yeah.
And she's asking really exactly what I've said.
Sure. So Mel's question coming in, and we can all answer that one, of course. So let's start off with the what is a condo hotel. Condo hotel concept was created about 25 years ago. It's really not that new now, and it was created by the brands, the hospitality brands. The Hiltons, the Marriotts, the Fairmonts, the Ritz, these Four Seasons, and others, who decided that they had clients that wanted a little bit more space than the average hotel. In many cases, the condo hotel was actually part of that development. So in more modern times, however, the product has become more mainstream. And there are many great examples in Orlando, like Buena Vista, Bahama Bay, Margaritaville, the Grove, the terraces at the Grove, and many others. So basically what this, like we said in the last call, Richard, it's a condo when you're using it, and it's a hotel product for a professional hospitality management company when you're not. Okay. Now, because of the amenities, and they are highly amenitized, it's a saying that we use in America, and it may be new to some of you joining this call today. But highly amenitized means that there's a ton of stuff for people to do, and the attraction therefore, not everybody that comes to Disney or comes to Central Florida goes to that theme park every day. So what's happened now is they've become more and more amenitized, you know, with fabulous water parks and lakes and restaurants and bowling alleys and indoor game arcades, you name it. These are mini resorts with a massive amount of entertainment, as well as hospitality services you get in a hotel. You know, so restaurants, bars, delis, sandwich bars, ice cream bars, concierge services, transportation through the Disney Central hub to take you to the preferred destination that you're going to that day. So by giving all of these services, they have to get a little bit back. Now, one of the things that many of the people on this call won't be aware of is that last year, 150 million people came to Florida. Okay, now I don't know exactly how many of them came to Central Florida, but 150 million came. And of course, most of them are from America. But many of them come in the form of groups, which right now, of course, won't happen, but it will again by next summer, we think. But for now, looking historically in the rearview mirror, we can see that these groups are attracted to destinations like that, Richard. Why? Because of the scale and the size and the consistency of the product, right? So some great benefits to having a single family home, of course, absolutely. Privacy, exclusivity, quiet time, what have you. But in this case, you know, for the groups that come to, you know, ESPN and the Disney sports facilities, this becomes a huge product for that. So yes, it does cost a little more, but in life, it's not what it costs, it's what you keep, right? And so we're seeing that nightly rates will be competitive with hotels, right? Why? Because they're selling against it and they're giving just a little bit more. So, you know, you might find that, you know, a smaller condo hotel unit might sell for 160, 170 a night. In a down or a quieter time, and maybe go up to 400 or 500, depending, you know, on the sort of June, July, August, Thanksgiving, Christmas, these kind of times. So, you know, you got to look at the balance. None of us are going to ever sit here and see what you're going to get, because we don't know. If we had done that in the past, we wouldn't have been sitting here trying to help everybody today. But what we can do is look historically. And there are great reports, and we rely on data, just like Zoe showed you right there. We rely on data to help you understand and tread through that little minefield when it comes to your money. Because the last thing you want as a buyer is to look at this and go, I wish I had thought about that. So this group here will never let that happen. And so a little bit more on the income side, yes. Occupancy a little bit higher. Why? Because a lot of the online travel agencies and a lot of the larger scale travel companies will love the condo hotel model, because there's so many of them and all furnished exactly the same, looking the same inside, so everybody gets the same product that they can sell more than once.
Yeah, great. So really, yeah, I mean, I suppose with that model, it's not as personal perhaps as a single family home where you have complete control of all the time, or choose to.
Yeah, I mean, it's investment, and there's a financial step to this. I would say that we see more first-time buyers buying into that kind of product than we would. That's just our experience. You know, there are other people in this call that would maybe have a different outlook, but that's us. That's what we do. We know development. We know these products. We get access to product, you know, maybe a little differently at times. So the fact is that, yes, maybe not quite as personal or private, but once you're in that lovely 3-bedroom condo looking at the fireworks over from one of the Disney places, feels pretty good.
Right, thank you very much. John, Alistair's just, you know, he said that you were going to start your higher occupancy with these more, the condo hotel style. If you're looking at more of the traditional single family home or villa on a resort, a community like we just talked about, what are realistic occupancy rates? So if, as a new owner, you've just got keys to your place and you want to get a good usage for family holidays, but you also want to make sure you get enough rent back that you're going to cover your running costs and hopefully have a bit left. What is a realistic expectation?
I'll kind of follow with what Alistair was saying is you're going to get that 80-85% occupancy sometimes on the condo hotels, because they truly are run as a hotel, in and out, turns, get it going. The people that we see buy the single family homes, or even in Bahama Bay, I saw that one question was on there. They asked, can it cover its cost? And I don't know if it was addressed, but yes, Bahama Bay does have a higher monthly fee in the 500s. But it is a huge property for what we call snowbirds. The people who come down from up north, come down for the winter. If you drive through the community and see all the buildings out there, there's Ohio and New York and Connecticut and Michigan. I mean, they are license plates from every place that you can think of up north, because they don't like it up there. It's too cold, it's miserable. They want to come south for the winter. So there's a lot of people who do buy in Bahama Bay, because you can buy. I mean, right now they're 115 to 130,000 for a nice 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom condo. So it is not run as like a hotel to where it's nightly maid service, but you can stay there. They are very, very well amenitized. They have a restaurant on site, so you can do very well there and cover its expenses. What we're talking about now, I think, is more like a single family home. And I will tell you that from a single family home, and Zoe will back it up, everybody will, it is key about listening to your property managers, your interior decorators, your realtors, making sure that the home is kitted out right. And when I say kitted out right, it means what are the renters looking for? Because they'll do exit surveys with the renters to say, how did you like it? Was there anything that could have been improved on? Or is there any suggestions that you would have? And when you talk about kitting out, we're talking about theme rooms, whether it's Moana, whether it's Frozen, Marvel mystery rooms, having the superhero rooms. You really have got to look at, when the moms are typically who does the online bookings, when they're online and they're looking, they see, mommy, I want to stay in that room. That's mine. Please book that house for me. That's the kind of reaction you want. So it's got to also have some adult games rooms, like, pool tables and air hockey and stuff like that. You want to make it to where, as Alistair said, you're not going to spend 14 days, your fortnight, you're not going to spend every single day at Disney World or SeaWorld or Universal. You want some downtime. You can't afford to anyways. So why not make your house desirable and make it attractive and make it where it's a safe haven? It's where I just love to come back home. I can just sit by the pool if I want. The kids can go play Xbox, PlayStation, whatever it is that they want to do, and everybody's happy. And it keeps your expenses down to where it's a more manageable vacation holiday for you. So to answer your question, yes, I really think you can get 60, 70% occupancy all day long, will not be an issue. I do think, though, that you need to be cautious and not do fads or not do something that's only short-lived. Like, we have people who have done Star Wars. You can't go wrong. I mean, we have that are Star Wars, where they have the beds are made up, and I mean, it's just amazing. It'll blow your mind. So go with something that is long-term life. I mean, that just will not go away. and I really think that the owners will be happy with the results of it. That just, we see it year in and year out, every single time.
Right. Thanks very much. And a key part of obviously the successful rentals is choosing the right management firm, and there are many, and there are, as with everything, there are good ones and there are bad ones. But given as well the distance, you're in the UK, and thousands of miles across in Florida, you really do need someone you can rely on, because it's not easy just to get out there at the last drop of a hat to sort an issue. So just how can people choose I mean, you work in management, you're going to say us, but I mean, generally, what makes you and all the other good ones stand out? And just whereabouts does your service begin? As a new owner, you've got to get the licenses, you need to register, to be able to do the rentals. Just, will you help with all of that? Just explain what you need to do to get set up and how you'll help.
Yeah, in terms of choosing a management company, the best advice I could give is that whilst you're looking to buy the house, it's something you almost need to do alongside of buying the house, is start looking at your management property. Maybe not immediately, but as you're going through the process where you've secured a house and you know which one you're going to go for. But as you're going along that process, then be looking at management companies. And obviously everyone can do their own research. Any of us here can make referrals. We have our own in-house management company. So we tend to do it a little bit different. When you buy with us, you get introduced to Kylie, who is my sister, and she takes care of our property management side of things. And it works really well, because as you're buying a house, there can be questions that don't necessarily go to the buying of the house, but go to the running of the house and the management of the house. So to have somebody that, you're beginning that relationship with, and that you're beginning to find that trust with, that you then can use as that sounding board to ask those questions, is invaluable. And it can shape the way that you put your house together if you're then thinking about using it in a particular way. For example, renting it. You might do things slightly different if you are going to rent the property out, as opposed to if you're not and you're just going to use it for personal use. In terms of what we do, and most management companies do, I'm sure, but we effectively hold your hand and lead you along the way, because we know it can be a big deal. It can be quite overwhelming. There's a lot to take in. You just need somebody to break it down and make it simple and give it to you in sort of bite-sized chunks that you can take in. But yeah, right from the word go, Kylie will go to the property. She'll walk the property either with you if you're here in Florida when you buy the house, or like we've been doing latterly over these number of months, where people that are in the UK and bought can't come over. She'll Zoom call or FaceTime call and walk the property with you, so she can say, well, this is fine, or perhaps this needs to be looked at. And an example of that might be a sofa that perhaps, if it's a resale, has been worn and needs to be either recovered or replaced. But she'll try and keep the cost down where she can. So anything that can be kept or upcycled or redone, we'll keep hold of it. But anything that really is going to let the place down, needs to be replaced, she'll let you know. But she does the whole hit. So, all the legalities, the licenses that you have to have. There's things like at the front of every rental property, you have to have signage that shows the licenses, a layout of a floor plan of the property, no smoking signs, all that kind of stuff. It's all fed down from the DPPR, telling rental owners what they need to do, but we make that easy, and we'll say, right, you need to do this, and this is what you need to do for that, and that's the cost, and kind of break it down for them. And like I say, hold their hand and just lead them through it. Sometimes people get excited or nervous and can jump the gun. Our job really is to try and just say, it's all okay, it's fine, we've done this plenty of times before, we'll help you, and this is what we're going to do next. And that can be invaluable to somebody that's worried about how they're going to put it all together.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks. And obviously, in your many years of being there and renting properties, I mean, this is a question I'll ask everyone, but have you got communities that rent better? I mean, you showed us a house earlier Bella Vida, and you said that was, I think, your best ever all-time renter. So, I mean, just throw a few names out there. If people listening are, rentals is key for them, they want to know this sort of stuff.
My answer to that would really be that there are so many different communities out there, and the list I'm going to give you now is not going to be exhaustive, but it's picking out a couple of names just to give you a head start, if you like. People will have heard of Kissimmee as a main area, and in there Bella Vida is a prime community. It's the house I'm sitting in today. Veranda Palms, West Side, they're all good rental communities in Kissimmee. If we move down to Davenport, people might have heard of the likes of Legacy Park, Tuscan Hills, West Haven, Salterra, those sort of kind of places. And then if we were to go up further north, in Claremont, there's some really good rental homes there as well. Sometimes overlooked Claremont, but it does do very well. Highgrove, Orange Tree, there's some really good ones there as well, and still quite close to Disney. So any of those three areas are generally going to be very good for rental properties.
Yeah, would you add anything to that, Alistair? Any other unknown or perhaps less off the radar but equally rentable communities?
Yeah.
Can't hear you. That's it.
Yeah. The areas that Zoe mentioned are, are highly popular. Four Corners is another area that is growing, that's developing along this new corridor, Highway 429. So south in that area along 192 where that meets, all the way down through that corridor down towards Davenport. Just terrific value for money and demand. Remember, 115 million people are coming to Florida, right? They all need a bed, and it's not going to be too hard for any of us on this webinar to find the typical property you're looking for if you're looking for rental income, if that's a driver or a main reason for purchase. Richard.
Right. And what about people who might want someone to, be a key holder for their property, but they don't need the full management service if they're only going to use it for personal use? I mean, obviously this is a service that is available from people like Zoe, and yeah. We haven't talked about fees either. Maybe you can give an idea, Alistair, of what people should expect to pay in maintenance fees, right down from just a simple overseeing role to the whole rental side of things.
So again, depending on where you are and how you're using and what you're renting and what you own, if there's a hospitality management company, they're doing everything, right? There's absolutely, when you leave, there's nothing required for you to do. And if there's money at the end of that month, you're going to get your check and you're going to get the net proceeds. Most of the larger scale hospitality guys will charge a commission as opposed to a fee. Okay, doesn't mean they say that one is better than the other. It's just how they do it, right? They've got scale. Now, Zoe, in actual fact, is better to answer the question, I think, on sort of key management. That's not something that we provide. We would find a Zoe or a Homes of America or John to help with that. But yes, it's imperative, most importantly, it's not just that you can find it because we have that, but it's most important that you understand what you're getting for your monthly fee. Whatever that fee is, it's most important, because if you're basing it only on the price, then that can get you down the wrong road real quick. And the last thing we want to see is somebody coming back in 6 months' time and the home hasn't been looked after. So with a high regard for so many of the bigger companies, we know who they are, but the independents, the guys on in this call, they're the ones for that, to be honest with you, more than we would be, Richard.
Okay, John, do you want to, because I mean, you do rentals management.
what we do is we partner with quite a few, but a lot of our realtors in our office, we've got 35 agents. A lot of them actually have key holder type, we would call it lock and leave type management companies who just oversee. They don't do rentals. They're not doing like what Zoe has done. They're not doing any type of bookings, but they have a lot of owners who just want to lock it up and leave it and have someone go flush the toilets and check the pool, just keep an eye on the property for them. And those you're looking at probably $50 to $75 a month. It's not a huge expense, but it's nice having eyes and ears over here. With technology, you have to remember nowadays with technology, there are so many people who have the Ring doorbells and the cameras that are positioned, you know, outside and whatnot, especially if you're not renting it, you pop one inside, you can keep an eye on everything. And it just, it gives people such a peace of mind nowadays that we're using technology the way we do. We have them where we're adjusting air conditioners, you know, through our iPhones, you know, up and down. We're checking on the pool heat. It's just, there's so many things you can do nowadays with technology. It does help give peace of mind on it. But yeah, you can go from as minimal service as you want to complete full service, all the way to like a condo hotel and everything in between.
So Zoe, how do your clients who do the traditional, who you manage their properties rentals for, how do you actually charge them in terms of do you charge a commission on the rental return,
Yeah, so we do it so that if they want management service, it's a flat fee, and I'll share what ours is just for a point of reference. Ours is $165 per month, and then if they want rentals being put into the house, we can offer that as well. We charge it as a commission. So again, I'll give you the amount so people have got reference points. We charge up to 15% commission. I think the market standard sits around 20%, but we just try and keep it a little bit lower because we try to be, our family ethos is that, you know, the management of rentals really is to supplement us helping them buy the house. So if we can help them out by looking after the house properly and doing the rentals for them as well, then that's a bonus.
And would that include doing the bookings as well, getting the bookings?
Yeah. So you effectively don't pay any kind of flat fee or monthly fee for the rentals. You only pay technically once a booking is placed. And so what we would do is we'd secure the rental, but we would charge it out at a slightly higher rate, and then allow obviously for our commission, but then make sure that the rate that the owner's getting is still one that they're comfortable with, and, you know, of a rate that they should be getting for a house of that sort.
Right. Thanks very much. We need to talk about tax. It was mentioned earlier on. It's one of those things that follows you wherever you go. And as a second homeowner, especially someone who rents their property out, John, you're going to have tax filing obligations in Florida, in the US. Just talk us through those, if you would, please.
There's a couple of them, and one of them is going to be if you're actually renting, and Zoe alluded to it, that there is a tax that you're going to have to pay. It's called a hotel or a bed tax, and you pay that to Osceola County, Polk County, whatever county you're living in or the house is in. And then there are your taxes on income. If there is a profit and stuff, you are going to have to pay it. Now, what I do is, and none of us on this platform are tax experts by any means, but what we do is we work closely with the ones who are. So you're going to be talking to someone like Simon Howe of Howe and Associates. There's multiples, I mean, just right in our area that you'll be able to talk to that will help with that. And what we do is we try to get it set up to where tax is not a good thing, but there's enough things that you can write off. Actually, there's part of your inspection trip. If you come over yourself, you get to write part of those expenses off. You can't write off the whole expense, but there are some things because it is an investment property and you are coming over to check on it and you are coming over to visit it. So you do get to write some of those expenses off. So what we'll do is we'll keep you in touch with the right people to make sure that they are being filed properly and that you're not stuck at the end of when you go to sell it. Oh man, I need to go back and file my last 3 or 4 years taxes. We don't want to have that happen.
So most people won't. I mean, could you do it yourself, or do you recommend someone use as a tax
I can
expert?
tell you I've never ever recommended anybody to do this themselves.
Okay.
Even my own, I don't even do our own personal one. I don't do it. It's not that we're probably smart enough to do it, but there are so many tax benefits and loopholes and things that we should be taking advantage of that we don't know, and we live here 24/7. What about the ones who don't? I would much rather put it with someone for such a small fee that they charge. It will save you a lot of money, way more than what you would ever spend on a small fee for them to file your taxes for you.
Sure. So, got the keys to your house in Florida. One of the first things you need to do really is touch base with one of these tax experts, and then they'll
Actually, but believe it or not, Richard, we actually do that beforehand, because there's the way that you actually take title on the property, the way you, whether it's a family trust or an LLC or whatever, there's things that you do before you close on the property that can affect everything from there moving forward. So we don't do it after you close. We actually do it before to make sure that we've done it the right way. And there was another question that was maybe on a previous session. Someone said, how much are closing fees? Because you said, it gets expensive when you're buying and stuff. And believe it or not, if you're paying cash, which a lot of people are right now, your closing fees, because the seller pays the majority of the expenses when you're buying, you can actually close on a property for no more than about $500 to $1,000 more than what the property cost is. And I know some people were throwing around a lot larger numbers, but if it's cash, it is very inexpensive. There's a recording fee. We need to have a home inspection or a survey. There's very minimal expenses, but for less than $1,000, you can actually do all of it and be totally closed.
Wow. Well, that is unexpected. No, good point there. Thank you. If you don't rent your property out, do you still have to file any type of return, just as for owning it and having a fiscal representation, a fiscal identity in Florida?
You still have to have usually what's called an ITIN number. Most people have it. It helps you get your bank account and everything opened up. And you'll need it definitely when you go to sell it. So what we normally do, again, is have them talk to an accountant beforehand. If they let them know how they're going to be using the property, they'll be able to advise them in which way to go.
Right.
But we always set up an ITIN number, and I think, what is it, Zoe? Less than $160, $150 to get that set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not much.
Okay, great. Just conscious of the time. One thing we haven't talked at all about, more investment-driven, but properties for the domestic market, longer-term rentals. I mean, Alistair, do you deal with any of these? Do you do the more traditional buy-to-let type properties?
Yeah, it was definitely that is part of the product offering. Again, it's really down to the individual. In some cases, short-term rental is not permitted, as everybody will have either heard or be aware of, or certainly will now. So you've got to just be careful that you know that. On some of the outlying areas, or in some of the other counties around Orlando, there are, however, restrictions on the number of days, nights, weeks, or months that your home can be rented. So we will see that primarily from our domestic Florida business. We have our office in Winter Park, and we will definitely see some of that there from the domestic or even the Canadian buyers. Occasionally we will see that, but when it comes to pure investment for rental return and for gain, we're seeing most of it in the shorter term space, to be honest with you, Richard. It's just more of it. Now, the one thing that we would see that maybe there'll be people on this call are looking for on this webinar, looking at different examples of cash. So a lot of people will have cash in different parts of the planet. We've had a significant number of inquiries from Hong Kong, for example, right now, where people have got what they refer to as flight capital, money that is at risk or they perceive to be at risk. And in that case, there will be a different why for the placement of that cash. So So in that case, yes, we would guide them through that. We'll do, like John said, we will take them to the right and qualified CPAs. We'll find the right banking relationship with them. We have access to that. And at the same time, do the same diligence no matter what you're buying. All the products need to tick the same boxes. So we would do that. And yes, we would guide and hold people's hands all the way through that, just as anybody would in this call.
Sure. Great. Thanks very much. We are running out of time. We haven't got any more questions unless anyone wants to ask something. But I was going to ask, I'll start with you, Zoe, and if anyone else can add to it, great. Some of the most unusual scenarios or things that you've had to deal with clients' properties, that ones that you manage. I mean, you hear about alligators and swimming pools and, you know, snakes and toilets and all these strange things. I mean, have you ever had that sort of thing? No.
No.
I hate to disappoint, but no. This is something that I'm afraid, particularly the UK media, loves to sensationalise. You know,
We do.
if you listen to the UK media, I'm afraid that you think we're all treading on alligators and being bitten by snakes, and if they don't get us, the hurricanes do. So. I mean, we do live in a part of the world where it is a tropical climate. There are snakes, there are alligators. Do they bother us day to day? No. I think what is nice about the wildlife here, a lot of the homes that we all could help you look at buying, a lot of them now do back onto conservation land and land that is protected, so will never be built on. And there is nothing better than at the end of a day when you're on your holiday here and you're tired from being at the parks, or you've been out flying a plane, or you've just been to see a theatre production, whatever it is you've done with your day here, that you're able to go and relax and watch that wildlife at the back of your property. Nothing better.
Thanks for being honest.
At one of the meetings, or before one of the meetings we had earlier, I was having a cup of coffee out back, and we live on the water and stuff, and there was 2 sandhill cranes walked right back behind the screen room there, and just pretty as you please. And it's, I mean, what a great life. You just can't argue with it. Yeah.
Thanks. We have got a question just in the nick of time, actually. We're going back to more of the buying side of things. It's from Alison Roylance-White. She liked the property that you showed us, Zoe, in the former session, but I think it's out of her budget a bit. She's saying, is there a minimum, a sort of starting point price to buy a single family home in Kissimmee? What should you should be looking at to get something, you know, of a good reasonable quality? Maybe around the 200,000 sterling mark. Is that possible?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say is, I mean, this house is gorgeous. It is listed at 399. You can buy this house using a US mortgage, so that might be something she wants to look at. Perfectly safe, easy to do. We can lead you through that, explain how that would work for you. Rental income would cover your mortgage payments, etc. So it's achievable. But if you're just not happy with this kind of budget, yes, of course, you can buy something from like the early 200,000s. To get a good house, you really need to be looking maybe between $250,000 to $350,000 is the kind of safe range, the sweet spot that I would be saying you need to be within if you're looking for a good house.
Yeah. And one other thing to add on to that, Richard, is Zoe was saying we can get a mortgage, and a lot of people think that your equity or your collateral is held against your property back in the UK, and it's not. The collateral is actually the property here in the US. So there's no risk, because I know the UK buyers do not like putting mortgages on, but it's a totally different program. And what we're finding right now is with the exchange rate at the 130 rate, what they're doing is they're bringing over a minimum amount to buy. And then when the exchange rate goes higher, then they'll bring it over, and there's no prepayment penalty. So they're able to bring the balance over at $1.50 rate instead of $1.30. It makes for a lot better financial transaction.
Yeah. No, I mean, and obviously you can wait, and hopefully sterling, if or when it does strengthen, then you can look at redeeming the mortgage.
Yep.
Great. We are we are out of time, I'm afraid, but we've covered a lot of stuff while we have in that 55-hour slot. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much, John, Alistair, and Zoe. Thank you to everyone listening, and not just for this session, but the previous ones. As I said previously, you can contact Zoe, Alistair, and John via their landing page on the Place in the Sun digital website, and you can catch up with them via Zoom calls and all sorts of ways. So do that if you have any other questions. And otherwise, good luck with your plans to buy in Florida. Let's not be too disheartened by the current COVID situation, and we will come out of it. And use your time in the UK now to speak to these sorts of people, John, Alistair, and Zoe, and do as much research as you can, so you're ready. You're straight out the blocks when you can get out to Florida and start looking at places. Otherwise, yeah, thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Happy Sunday. See you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.